When last we spoke, I had just filled this mini composition book, and I was picking a Fabriano notebook for my next pocket notebook. In the weeks since, something so exciting has happened I don't want to delay in telling you about it. I was able to put a dust jacket on the Fabriano notebook, and it made me like it very much more than I did. What I used for the dust jacket was a piece of a New Yorker cover. The cover in question is Anthony Russo's Shelter from the January 3rd and 10th, 2022 issue. At the public library recently, there's been this little kind of magazine exchange bin where people put their old magazines and you can pick them up if you want. I came up on some New Yorkers this way, including the one with Russo's cover. Now, I've used New Yorker covers as dust jackets for notebooks before. Here are two books that I used New Yorker covers to cover, two Dream Diaries. These are both Leuchtturm jot books from the era of jot books. That's my favorite era of jot books, like before they came in the packs of two. And I used this orange-ish one, and I had to kind of extend this one. I think I had to extend them both. Yeah, I had to extend them both with pieces of another New Yorker cover because what I had wouldn't cover the whole cover. But I really liked doing this, and I thought, well, why don't I try doing that again? The reason for the urgency was that, and I can talk more about this when I review the book, but the perspiration from my pocket on such a hot week was not really working with this cover stock very well. It was starting to kind of delaminate and come apart. So I said, well, why don't I put on a protective layer? Why not go back to the New Yorker dust jacket method that I have used time and time again? I also brought this over as another kind of dust jacketed thing, this old diary. I put the wax paper from a Midori notebook on it. I'll probably show that to you again, but I just wanted to bring that over as another dust jacket example, a weird one. But this dust jacketed thing just sits on a shelf. These two were just kind of sitting on a desk among my other notebooks. This was going to have to be something that I would put in my pocket that would have a little bit of sturdiness to it. Now, I've bought books over the years that have been ex-library, and they've had the tape marks from where the jacket was. This is a copy of Robert Lowell's The Dolphin that I got off of one of the cheap carts at the Strand one time. And so I thought, well, why don't I tape it on this time? So you don't just tape there. Here's the process I followed. First, I kind of roughly cut it down to size, cut the cover down to size, trying to capture my favorite part of the cover if possible. So I was able to get the whole seated woman that Anthony Russo painted. The blacked out address of the person who had donated this to the bookstore was a cool part of this cover. Like, people I've shown this to have said that they like the sticker there. I'm folding over. But anyway, I cut it roughly. I just kind of sized it up basically. I kind of used, I have my X-Acto cutter and it has these little things here, and I just kind of lined it up and cut it here. And then when I tested the fit, I saw that it was sticking out a little bit on the bottom, so I went back through and actually used some scissors to just kind of trim the bottom a little bit, so it's got a little bit of a roughness to the bottom. But that's fine. We don't need perfection. We just need a good enough fit. Then I wrapped the paper around it. I put it under the notebook and wrapped it around here, and I thought, well, I would like to tape it. So what I did was I wrapped it around and then put tape on here and tried to slot tape in this tight gap between the dust jacket and the cover of the book. But that is a very tight gap, it's hard to just stick the tape in there. So I thought, well, they don't do that at the library. They must do it a different way. So then by the time I got to the front flap here, I had the right idea in mind, which is you put tape on the cover, you put tape right there on the inside cover. Then you wrap the dust jacket over, and then fold the tape, the other half of that piece of tape you put on there, over the cover after you folded it on. So that's what you do. And we could dust jacket something right now as kind of a proof of concept, kind of. But yeah, I do think it has made it more durable a little bit. You can still see all of the little ripples from where the paper was kind of delaminating. And this is a very special circumstance. None of you perspirate as much as I do, and no week is as hot as this. Weeks are not as hot as this. This heat wave is remarkable. So it's odd, but I think it is helping. I think it's providing a little layer of protection that will be appreciated. I thought like another reason for the urgency of making this video is that I do think that over time, this beautiful image, which is now so nicely represented on this dust jacket, will get kind of, it will become unrecognizable, I think, probably. You know, there's a chance of that. So I wanted to take a picture of what came out before that happened. You know, I bet you could even do it with a mini composition book. You could say, you know, well, this themes in this cover is like tallying up and freedom, you know, like this kind of freedom ideal that's represented by the Statue of Liberty, and also a kind of melancholy. Well, and things being behind bars or things being shut up. Well, these are all themes that resonate with the theme of the Pocket Commonplace book, or the item called the Commonplace Anyway, so what would that look like? Nice thing about these is they tell you their dimensions right on front, so you don't have to even measure before making your cuts. So put your tape on first, like so. You know, put it on the cover, then open the book, fold the flap down, and you do that in the front and the back, on the top and the bottom, and then put a little piece of tape right there, and then it looks something like this, you know? So anyway, just an idea for if you have any sort of things you want to accomplish with your cover and you want another layer of protection for it.